Spin-off games are a risky business. They often try to branch out from the main series formula, but more often than not, they miss the mark. Take Assassin's Creed Chronicles, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Gears Tactics, and Far Cry New Dawn. All attempts to expand their respective franchises that failed to fully capture the magic of the originals. Whether it's a shift in gameplay style or a different narrative approach, these titles often leave fans wishing for the familiar. The question becomes, can a spin-off live up to the legacy, or is it doomed to be forgotten? That was the challenge faced by Airship Syndicate. After the success of Battle Chasers Night War, Joe Madureira and Ryan Stefanelli returned to their roots with the beloved Darksiders series. But instead of delivering more of the same, they took a bold step. Their pitch to THQ Nordic, an isometric co-op adventure that kept the grim and chaotic feel of the Darksiders universe, but offered a fresh, fast-paced take on the formula. Taking inspiration from Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, the team promised to deliver something both familiar and innovative, a spin-off that could stand proudly alongside the main series. Recognizing the potential, THQ Nordic quickly seized the opportunity, giving Airship Syndicate the green light to explore a new chapter in the Darksiders saga. But to truly understand how this came to be, we need to take a step back in time. When Joe Madureira and Ryan Stefanelli co-founded Vigil Games alongside David Adams and Marvin Donald, they launched the original Darksiders franchise, capturing the hearts of action RPG fans. However, after THQ's bankruptcy, Vigil was forced to close its doors, leaving the future of Darksiders in limbo. It could have been the end for the series, but a lifeline came in the form of Nordic Games. At an auction, they acquired not only the Darksiders IP, but also several other THQ properties, including Destroy All Humans, MX vs. ATV, and Titan Quest, just to name a few. Recognizing the importance of the history of THQ, Nordic Games changed its name to THQ Nordic. The Darksiders franchise was revived with the help of key members from the original team, resulting in two new releases, Darksiders 3 and Darksiders Genesis. Led by David Adams and a group of former Vigil developers at Gunfire Games, Darksiders 3 introduced a more Souls-like approach to the series. However, it was Darksiders Genesis, developed by Airship Syndicate, that boldly carried the legacy of the Horsemen forward, proving that even with fewer resources, the spirit of the series could thrive. With a much smaller team than Gunfire Games, Airship Syndicate knew that they had to take a different approach for their next Darksiders project. Instead of continuing the mainline saga, they set out to create something that could stand on its own while still expanding the Darksiders universe. The result was a bold mix of genres. A twin-stick shooter with isometric puzzles and loot-based gameplay, all built around a strong emphasis on cooperative play. By setting the game before the events of the original Darksiders, the team had the freedom to weave in new layers of the story without disrupting the established lore. This allowed Darksiders Genesis to stand apart from the first three games, giving fans a fresh experience while diving into previously unexplored elements of the Darksiders narrative. The introduction of co-op gameplay for the first time in the series was an exciting shift, offering a new way for players to experience the universe. With cooperative play at the heart of the experience, Airship Syndicate had to ensure the game felt engaging for all types of players. Strife was the perfect choice for one of the lead protagonists, especially with the isometric view allowing players to better navigate the relentless waves of enemies. His fast-paced hit-and-run style played like a bullet hell shooter, offering a glass cannon who could deal damage swiftly but couldn't withstand heavy hits. On the other hand, War, his brother, brought a slower, more methodical play style to the table, thriving as a frontline powerhouse. War's role felt natural, carrying over the familiarity of his original release, while Strife introduced something fresh, giving players two distinct ways to experience the combat. The contrast between these two horsemen meant players with different styles could both excel, keeping the gameplay dynamic and exciting throughout. One of the biggest challenges the team faced was how to present the action for co-op gameplay. Initially, split screen was considered for every mode, but the team ultimately decided to reserve it for couch co-op, opting for a normal camera view in other modes. The isometric camera also brought its own set of challenges. To make both the world and characters shine from this perspective, the team drew on their experience with top-down gameplay from Battle Chasers Night War. This, combined with the signature chunky, comic book art style of Darksiders, ensured the characters stood out vividly, while still maintaining their epic scale. Creating the environments was another area where Airship Syndicate excelled. The team took an iterative approach, first focusing on the layout and design of each area to ensure gameplay flowed seamlessly. From there, world builders layered in immersive details, blending visual effects and environmental assets to create a world that felt alive and integral to the game's atmosphere. Just as War backed up Strife and Battle, Gunfire Games supported Airship Syndicate behind the scenes. With both studios working in Unreal Engine, Gunfire's experience from Darksiders 3 proved invaluable. At first glance, players might compare Darksiders Genesis to loot-driven games like Diablo. But after just a few minutes, it becomes clear that's not the case. While Genesis introduces a top-down perspective and co-op mechanics, it stays true to the series' hack-and-slash roots, blending high-octane combat with platforming and puzzle solving. War plays just as he did in the original Darksiders, wielding his massive sword with heavy, deliberate strikes, while Strife offers a faster, more agile combat style, utilizing dual pistols for ranged attacks. The ability to switch between the two characters on the fly in solo play adds a layer of strategy, allowing you to adapt quickly to different combat scenarios and puzzle-solving challenges. Familiar series elements make a return, such as using souls as currency, solving puzzles with bombs, and upgrading your horsemen to better face the forces of heaven and hell. The creature core system allows you to tailor your horsemen's abilities, adding another layer of customization to the game's fast-paced, tactical combat. Even horseback combat returns, this time streamlined to suit the new camera perspective. The dynamic between the characters adds depth to both combat and exploration, as players work together to solve puzzles and face overwhelming hordes of enemies. For those who prefer to play solo, Genesis adapts smoothly, scaling difficulty while letting you swap between characters on the fly. What sets Darksiders Genesis apart is its accessibility to both series veterans and newcomers alike. Whether you're diving in with a friend who's never touched the previous games or exploring the lore-rich world as a seasoned Darksiders fan, Genesis offers a smooth and enjoyable experience for everyone. For the opening cinematic of Darksiders Genesis, Airship Syndicate once again turned to the renowned team at Powerhouse Animation Studios to craft a visual spectacle that would instantly captivate players. This wasn't the first collaboration between the two studios. Powerhouse had previously created the stunning intro for Battle Chasers Night War, and their distinctive animation style felt like a natural fit for the Darksiders universe. The cinematic they produced for Genesis sets the tone for the entire game, seamlessly blending the franchise's dark, apocalyptic atmosphere with Powerhouse's bold and dynamic visuals. Powerhouse Animation's expertise shines through in every frame, delivering a cinematic that feels like an intense, high-energy visual spectacle fitting the mythic tone of the Darksiders series. These industry veterans have an impressive portfolio, having brought the Masters of the Universe series on Netflix to life, and more recently, the Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft animation. Their work extends beyond television, with credits on major gaming projects like Mortal Kombat X, Injustice 2, and Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. After 2 years in its development process, Darksiders Genesis fought its way through hordes of demons to find release on Windows on December 5th, 2019, with a console release just 2 months later, when it launched on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. While Airship Syndicate was worried that the isometric view would disappoint fans of the series, or have them compare it unfairly to other games, like Diablo, it quickly won over franchise mainstays and carved out new followers alike. It still felt like a Darksiders game at its core, and that had made it a worthy entry in the saga. It also received generally favorable reviews, with IGN's take on the game scoring it an 8.7 out of 10, with praise given to its frenetic combat, slick puzzles, exploration and secrets, and progression mechanics that kept the game running long after the levels were first beaten. One sticking point, however, was that it did lose some of the polish that it would have had were it one of the mainline games. Fans enjoyed it because it kept the spirit of the series intact, even as it explored things from new perspectives. In addition, finally finding the fourth horseman and enjoying his quirky, feisty attitude made it just as appealing as the numbered entries in the saga. Joe Madureira and Ryan Stefanelli succeeded in creating a Darksiders spin-off that not only holds its own, but also expands the series in new and exciting directions. Darksiders Genesis stands as a testament to their ability to balance innovation with respect for the franchise's roots. By blending fast-paced action, puzzle solving, and strategic combat, they delivered a spin-off that feels both familiar and refreshing, earning its place as a worthy addition to the Darksiders universe. If you're interested in more of Airship Syndicate's incredible work, check out my video on Battle Chasers Night War, where I dive into how Joe and his team brought that comic book classic to life in gaming form.